Ray talks about living with epilepsy.
Hello, could you tell me your name, please?
Ray.
When did you have your first seizure?
I had my seizure when I was 18 years old at my dad's house. Me, my brother and my dad were watching TV and I blanked out and said, "Oh, what are we watching?" And he said, "Oh, TV." And then a few seconds later, I blanked out again and said to my dad, "Oh, what are we doing?" And he was like, "Watching TV." And then I suddenly just randomly had a seizure. Like before my seizures, my eyes started well, you couldn't see my eyes flapping, but it felt like they weren't focused on the TV. And then my head started to shake and I was trying to hold my head to stop it, but it just kept going. And then I was like, "Oh, right, I'm going to have a seizure," because obviously I knew people at my old school who used to have epilepsy, so I kind of knew what was happening.
And what is having epilepsy like for you?
Well, when I first had it, it was hard to get out and I was worried and scared to if I would have a seizure in public and get embarrassed by if people saw me in the public having a seizure, what they would think. Would they be laughing or would they help me? I can travel independently, so I can get to the train station, I can get on my train independently, I can get off the train, I can walk from the train station to my work. I'm good at timekeeping, and I'm confident in coming to work because I have a bracelet that says that I've got epilepsy and it's got contacts on it, so if I were to have a seizure they can contact my mum and dad and tell what's happened and they can call an ambulance for me. If the ambulance were to come and get me, they would know my name and make sure I'm okay and kind of calm me down and explain that I've had a seizure. And I can get quite emotional, I can start crying because obviously it's so scary and just horrible to experience.
What was your best experience of going to hospital for treatment or going to an NHS service appointment?
When I had my seizure near my friend's house, I knocked on his door and then I blanked out. My dad was walking to the shop and he was in there for like 5 minutes. He came out of the shop and he saw an ambulance outside my friend's house and he thought it was me because I've got epilepsy. So I can't really remember, but I think my dad knocked on my friend's door and said, "Oh, is Ray okay?" And I think they said, "Oh, she's had a seizure." So my dad came into the ambulance and I think my dad and the ambulance crew were talking just to see if I was okay and what happened. And when I came around, they were really good. They were taking their time because obviously after a seizure, you forget and you're a bit confused. So when I kind of came around, the ambulance men were really amazing and they took their time asking my questions.
Were you and your rights respected?
Yeah, definitely.
Were you listened to and given good information?
Yeah, well, after I came around, I had to think about what to say because obviously you're so tired. So my dad answered some of my questions, I think, but they were really good. I was really grateful that they were so calm and relaxed.
Did the ambulance or did the hospital or NHS service include the important people in your life?
Yeah, 100%. They talked to my dad and they talked to me and I think they said to my dad, "Oh, does Ray have seizures?" And he said, "Oh yeah, she's epileptic." So they knew that and they write the information down. So I was really lucky and grateful to have the ambulance come and see me.
And did you get the right treatment and help?
Yeah. I didn't get any treatment with the medical men because obviously it's in the day and I don't have my meds at that time, but they were really fantastic. Like, I was really grateful and they supported me and looked after me.
Do you have a big message on how to keep the hospital good or make the hospital better?
No, they were really good with me and I'm sure they'll be amazing with other people that have had problems like me or different other accidents.
And is there anything that triggers a seizure for you?
Alcohol, maybe stress.
What advice would you give to family members and support workers if they were witnessing someone have a seizure?
If they knew the person had epilepsy anyway, I'm hoping they will understand. But if they're new to the seizure and have never had a seizure before, maybe Googling it, saying what is epilepsy or how do we help this person, what's the safe way to react to the seizure, how to help them after the seizure, and what position do you put them in? Do you put them in the recovery position? Do you just leave them? Do you put a pillow under their head? Do you put a blanket on top of them? It's just making sure they're comfortable and the person who's witnessing the seizure is comfortable, not panicking or touching them. Are you you don't want to make a big thing out of it, you just want to calm down and make sure the person is okay. But sometimes if you were to ask them questions, they would maybe answer, but then they would forget a few minutes later, because obviously the brain's got to come out of the seizure maybe. You should never let your epilepsy get in the way of your day-to-day life. You should do the same stuff, so walk into town, get your transport. Just don't worry or panic about doing the stuff that you would normally do if you wouldn't have epilepsy. Just do what you want to do. But you've obviously got to be careful. But you can't just think about, oh, I've got epilepsy, I can't do anything. Because you can. You can do as much as you want.